Welcome to today's episode of the Farm and Forage Podcast. My name is Robert Garrett. I'm here with our three lovely teachers, Miss Pickman, Miss Miyake, and Miss Harper. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good to be here.
All right. So today's episode, what we would like to do is we'd really like to introduce you to each of them, let them tell you a little bit about themselves and also how they come to find Farm and Forage and why they decided to do something that's so different really in the education space. So I want to start really with Miss Miyake. Miss Miyake, tell us, she's excited about being the first. Tell us a little bit just about your education career, how long you've taught, where you've taught, and what subject you do teach.
Okay. That's easy enough. So I teach science, and I have come from 32 years of public school education.
Tell me how long you taught where you were.
I was at Freedom Middle School for 32 years.
And one of the things I think is always interesting is that you were in the exact same classroom for those entire 32 years or close, no?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, I was in the same building, but not in the same.
Got it. And what grades did you teach?
Just 8th grade.
8th grade science, all those years.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us a little bit, before you went to teaching, where'd you go to school? Are you from this area?
I was born and raised in Franklin, Tennessee, which is pretty much where we are, Williams County. And I went to undergrad at Western Kentucky University, and then I did some master's classes at TSU, and I did some chemistry and physics institutes at UTM, and got my master's from Middle Tennessee State University.
Nice. So TSU, Tennessee State University,
Yes.
And then what was the other one?
MTSU.
Middle Tennessee, and there was one other.
UT Martin.
UT Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for those that are watching, we've
They're
got
all
Farm and
local.
Forage folks from all over. I want to make sure they know exactly what universities we're talking about. And what was your degree in?
Middle grades education, science, and social studies were my
Nice.
two focuses. And then Tennessee didn't have the alignment, didn't match for the way that they do it. They didn't have a middle school certification. So then they certified me like 1 through 8 or something like that. But then I kept pushing the advanced courses so that I could push my accelerated learners.
And then you also at one point taught or coached tennis, I think, right?
I think you call it coaching. I'm not an expert at tennis, but on paper, I was the coach for 3 years of the team right before I left for it.
And remind me, you had mentioned that they came to you wanting you to do that, and ultimately it was either the team goes away or you coach it. Is that about
yeah,
right?
I mean, with middle school sports, you got to have somebody in there to do it. And even if I didn't know a lot of tennis, I could still schedule matches, get uniforms together, and organize all of the stuff. And I had incredible parents who do know tennis that then could work on skills with the kids and actually make them. We actually had some very successful years,
Awesome.
despite my lack of knowledge
Well,
in tennis.
but at least they got to continue a team.
Oh, heck yeah.
So we'll come back in a little while about family and what drew you to Farm and Forage. But Ms. Harper, will you tell us a little bit about your teaching career and education career?
So I've been teaching for 25 years. I taught most of that time at a private school in Nashville and a little bit of time at Riverdale High School in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I taught mostly English, but also did a little bit of science. So I taught anatomy and physiology, forensic science, biology, pretty much any brand of English instruction you can think of, 6 through 12, and test prep.
I think it's interesting. You see people who might have done science and math. You might see people who are history and English, but you don't often see an English teacher who did science. Tell me how that happened.
So I went to Lipscomb for undergraduate, Lipscomb University here in Nashville, and I had planned to pursue some sort of medical career. So I was a biology major, and I took English classes for fun.
Really?
And yes, they kept the GPA up. And after I graduated from Lipscomb, I was admitted into Vanderbilt's Master's of Science in Nursing program and was going to be a nurse practitioner. And then I thought, why am I doing something for a living that wasn't what I did for fun in college? I think I'm looking at this the wrong way. And so I called Vanderbilt and said, I'm going to withdraw my spot in the class, and I called the graduate English department at MTSU and said, tell me about your English master's program.
Really?
And
That's how that went?
Changed tracks.
And so when you finished, then where'd you go teach?
So I grew up very close to where Farm and Forge is located. I went to Eagleville in K through 8th grade, which is right down the road from our facility. And then went to a larger high school in Murfreesboro. And when I graduated with my teaching certification, I had 2 interviews, and one of them was with Eagleville, and one of them was with Nashville Christian in Nashville. Nashville Christian offered me the job first. So that's how I ended up where I ended up and stayed for a really long time.
There for a long time. What did you do while you were there?
At NCS, well, I taught science, taught English. I was also accreditation coordinator, so I handled all of our accreditation.
So like that's getting like a SACS review or something like that?
Yes. So, at one point it was Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, then it became Cognia, then it became Advanced Ed, or whatever the name is.
Man,
National.
What did you do wrong to be assigned that?
Seriously. But so I managed our accreditation. I did some academic coordinating. I don't want to call it, I don't know what the title was. I think there was a title, but just kind of doing some teacher observations and things like that as well.
Great. That's great. And so how many years at Nashville Christian were you?
24 of my 25.
Wow. And then where did the other school fit into that?
I decided that I just wanted to do something a little bit different than what I was doing at Nashville Christian. And so went and worked at Riverdale for a year and was really enjoying it. But then NCS asked me to come back.
Yeah.
And it was such a great place for my kids to be
Right.
and to grow up and to get their educations and go on to their successful college careers.
So you were a boomerang employee. You left and came back.
I
That
did.
happens a lot.
Yes.
I was talking to a person from a company the other day, and they were saying that about 25% of the employees they hire are boomerang employees that leave and then return.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really, really common. All right. So that's great. So Ms. Pickman, tell us a little bit about your background. I know that Ms. Miyake's is more of a traditional education background. I think Ms. Harper's is sort of a career switch. And then I think yours is almost completely different.
I started educating when we decided to homeschool our 4 children. So I had an engineering background. I was working for Ford Motor Company, had worked for Bendix Allied Automotive before that. And when we got to the decision of what to do with our oldest, it became obvious that homeschooling would be the best fit. And so I homeschooled all 4 of ours all the way through the 12 grades, with one exception of one going for to a private school.
But backing up to homeschooling, where'd you go to school? Where are you from? And then you ended up at Ford. Was that in Detroit?
So I ended up at Ford after going to what, when I was there, was called GMI EMI. Originally was General Motors Institute. It's a small, strictly technical engineering college. 4 buildings if you count the parking garage.
And where is that?
It's in Flint, Michigan.
Okay.
And I did start with Ford in the Detroit area, but not in Detroit proper.
Where are you originally from?
The other side of the state from Michigan. I was born in Florida, but then went to high school and college.
Okay.
So
you're sitting in Florida. What makes you say, I'm going to apply to this thing in Michigan?
I was actually, at that point, we had already moved to Michigan.
Got
And I had a friend going, and it was going to be very affordable. And for my family setup, I needed it to be affordable. And
Got
you
it.
went to school for 3 months, worked for 3 months, and you got paid well for co-oping. And so I was able to avoid debt and get a good degree. And it was highly respected at the time.
Got it. So you're in Michigan already. You apply for this program, finish, and then go to work for Ford.
Yes, you had to have a job. You actually had to go through the interview process and find your co-op sponsor to be able to go to that school. You didn't have a job, you weren't qualified to be a student.
And then you joined Ford, and tell me about that. How long were you there, and kind of what were you doing?
I worked for Ford for 6 years. Originally, I was putting in designing and getting ready to install transmission equipment. So it was a 7-machine
But
system.
you were on the engineering side, not the actual floor doing the installation.
I was going to be on the actual floor once the stuff was in, but at the original part, we were setting up for the AX4 in transmission, and I had planetary gears.
Okay.
So interestingly enough, I met my husband through that process, and we couldn't date because it would have been a conflict. That was part of my motive.
Y'all found a way around that.
A motive to leave Ford so that I could do something else. So
And then from there, y'all are both in Michigan at this time.
he's in New Hampshire because I was traveling to New Hampshire to get my machines built, and he was designing them.
So there's the meat.
Yes. So I had a boss who said, "You're not married. You have nothing to go home to. I'm not flying you home on weekends." So I was in New Hampshire for 8 months.
So you're Michigan, New Hampshire. Y'all meet. You leave Ford.
He left first, so it wouldn't be a conflict of interest, so we could actually date. And then yes, it's a
This is
longer
great.
story.
It's like a Hallmark movie here at Christmas time.
And then eventually I moved down here, and I transferred within Ford because I was working for transmission.
Down here.
Yes, and then I went to Ford Glass.
What
here.
made y'all do that? I mean, did they offer a job?
I went into Ford and quit, and they said, "We do not want you to quit. We will do whatever it takes. Where do you want to work?"
And you said Tennessee.
I said Nashville
Why?
because this is where David was.
Okay. So why did he come here?
Because
I'm
he
trying
got
to
a-
understand.
He got a great job offer down here.
Got it. So he quits. He gets a job offer here. You go in to quit. They say we'll transfer you.
Yes,
And so then, what year was that?
that was 90.
And y'all been here since. Wow. And so then, at some point, homeschooling the kids becomes a thing.
It became what was an obviously easy fit for us because I love teaching.
Challenges in what way?
They're bright, very outspoken. They externally process, so they talk a lot.
Okay.
All of them.
Yeah. And so you were just trying to make sure you got them in an environment that wasn't a problem. Got it.
And fit to their strengths.
That makes sense. And then during your homeschooling, I know that when we met, you were doing a lot of kind of tutoring. And can you kind of explain through the homeschool process, once they were all kind of graduated, then what did it look like for you?
Well, I still have one getting ready to graduate from college, so I wouldn't say I'm.
Well, I meant
but
high school.
High
Yeah,
school,
yeah.
yes. Even before that, when Jonathan hit the point where I didn't want to teach his English anymore, and I was able to do it up through about 7th, 8th grade, but at the point where I wanted them to be interacting with other kids, we started using tutorials. And the tutorials provided not only the ability to learn some of the things you need to learn about dealing with other people, but also provided someone who is truly passionate about something teaching them. And someone who really loves what they're teaching teaches it very differently from someone who is teaching it because it was assigned to them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so tutorials are typically full of people who have a biology major and are teaching biology. And I loved math enough that it fit that I could teach the math at the tutorial. And so our kids were able to go, and I got to know the staff and who was teaching them, and I really loved it.
Well, and just like any good tutor, then all of a sudden you probably were getting multiple requests. Can you help my child with this? Can you help my child with the ACT? I would imagine.
Yeah, and I did do a lot of private tutoring, and I did private ACT tutoring, a lot of math, physics, Zoom and in person and whatever came.
Well, so now I'd like to really find out how each of you found Farm and Forage, because this is so different from it's probably more similar to what you were involved in than what y'all were involved in. So Miss Miyake, tell me kind of how did you find Farm and Forage?
One of my coworkers knew someone who was involved in the tennis aspect of Farm and Forage, and she's the one who told me about it. And I had taught, obviously, I've already said, for a long time in a similar situation, and I'm a little bit averse to change. I don't love change, but I needed something different, and I wasn't wanting to leave educating kids because I love teaching kids.
Yeah.
So the thought of retiring from public school and doing a different job, everybody kept going, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Well, I want to teach. And this set up for such a uniquely different situation to still get to teach, but it broadens the content, it broadens the age groups. Everything about it is so different. And I thought, well, what the heck? I haven't interviewed or changed jobs or done anything in several decades. May as well reach out there and give it a shot. And so I did. Very quickly, I threw together a resume because I didn't really have an active resume. And luckily, Robert called and gave me a shot.
I thought one of the funny things you said was the last time you'd interviewed for a job was what year?
Like 93.
1993.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like you said, I got to whip up a resume there.
And I had done some other like little things, but nothing that required resumes and, interviews and all that nerve-wracking.
Right. Ms. Harper, how did you find Farm and Forge, and what kind of attracted you to it? I know there was some need or like.
So, I'll start off by saying that I was absolutely content and happy with my work at NCS. I loved my coworkers. I loved the kids. It was a great place to be. But we have some family property that is in Coffee County, Tennessee, and it's been my dream forever to have a house near my family on that property, and the time had just come in my life where it was time to build this house. And it's impossible to commute from Coffee County to West Nashville.
Yeah.
So that meant it was time for a change. And I was really thinking about leaving teaching and went and got paralegal certification.
Did you really?
I did. And that was
You've been good
going
at
to
that.
be, and that was going to be my new direction. And while I was surfing around on one of the job websites that was out there thinking about, what's going to come next? Because I also am averse to change, stumbled across the listing for Farm and Forge, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I had a few people that read that posting that more than one asked me in the first interview, like, is this real or am I getting scammed? Because of the way the posting was written and the way that we're doing school, was there any of that thought in y'all's head?
So we discovered that we had a mutual friend. And as soon as we figured that out, we were exchanging phone numbers and we got on the phone that afternoon, and both of us were like, is this legit? I mean, that
who would scam teachers? Is actually what I was like. What
do they think we have any money?
What about it? Why did it feel scammy?
There was no building. You couldn't go just drive up and see what it looked like or talk to people who'd ever been there because it didn't exist. I mean, she dug around to find official,
I don't know that the depth of my sleuthing needs to be revealed here.
No, it was just felt weird. Mm-hmm. It was out of nowhere. It's so different that it just didn't even
I had
feel.
gotten on Google and started looking for just even images of the property, and
it was a field.
It was a field. And so I thought, okay, I'm interviewing for a position that is not a remote work from home position, but yet there is no location. There's nothing there.
For me, it was the fear of, oh my gosh, I put in that I'm leaving a school with people I love and where I've been for so long. And what if it's not? What if all of a sudden I've left something that has been happy for me, and I'm going and saying, okay, bye. And then flop, there is no job. Just kidding.
You have to be somewhat cautious.
That makes
Luckily,
sense.
this one was not scammy. and it occurs to me, we've sat here and given a whole lot of detail about our backgrounds, but you haven't said anything about who you are and how you got here.
Well, yeah, I started my career as really a teacher and a coach from a family of educators. We were talking about that the other day, and then became an administrator in a school building, a high school, and worked into a central office role where I was over a lot tech and a few other things, and was there for around 17 years in the same little town. If anybody's watching in New Albany, miss y'all. But great town, great school district, unbelievable community, and had the opportunity to go work at Apple Education. The great thing was I was able to work at Apple while still living in that town. So we didn't move. We didn't have to. It was a from home type thing. And my boss, Jay Matheson, if he's out there watching, one of the best bosses I've ever had. I used to always tell him, well, if anybody allows me to kind of start a school and do it the way I want to do it. That's the only thing that'll pull me away from Apple. And through mutual friends, Trent Tucker and a few other people, I was introduced to Farm and Forage. And so I left Apple about 14 months ago and excited to write the job descriptions that you guys were reading. And the reason I'm curious kind of about as you read it, I had a lot of people, even just the way we were doing school, right? Because one of the things I was overt in the job description was no lesson plans, no test to grade. You really, what we were trying to do was design the position so that teachers could do what they like to do, which is just teach. And all the other stuff that really kind of bothers them, they don't have to do. And I think we've created a similar environment to that. So I wonder from you, Ms. Pickman, because yours was a little bit different. Y'all were on the job sites, you had heard from a friend, but yours was kind of fluky.
Mine was very fluky. I had blocked Indeed, my husband and
Blocked Indeed.
I had blocked Indeed about 3 years prior and wasn't getting emails from them. And all of a sudden, this one showed up like this would be a perfect fit for you. And on a lark, I decided to apply. And then the interview process went really well. And it is a perfect fit. I love working here. Love the students. And I think I have the best boss I've ever had.
Well, who is that guy? Well, I think in the next episode, we're going to talk really about how we do school. But I wanted everybody to kind of get to know y'all. I am curious if you want to mention. If you don't, it's okay. But I know that people out there would enjoy even just getting to hear about your family. I've got personally one child, a wife that I love that actually works here at Farm and Forage. And to be honest, if my child didn't play tennis, there's no way I would ever found this. I played football and basketball, golf, and he got into tennis kind of fluky. There's in our little town, a pro named Bo and Susie Bowman. It's a couple, and their son's actually coming next week to Farm and Forage to train for a week. But Everett and Braden is his name. They were together since they were 3 or 4 years old. And so Everett gets into tennis. Well, Sarah swam and was a softball player. So we had zero tennis experience in our family. And one of the things I started noticing was every tennis tournament I went to, the best, like if the family had 3 children, the youngest was always the best player. And I started asking the parents, like, why is your youngest the best player? And they'd say, well, we made all the mistakes with the first 2 and learned what we needed to learn, and now we know what needs to be done, right? Mm-hmm. And so I got to thinking, I only have the one, so I can't.
No room for error.
Can't wait for the learning.
No room for error. And so we actually started a little podcast, and I started interviewing people. We've got like 115 episodes where we were interviewing experts from all over. And through that process, I got to learn a lot. And so one of the things that I think that I enjoy about this job is that what the families are going through, I went through with my own child, and standard school it doesn't facilitate what they're trying to do. And so now when the parents come and talk to us, we're not fighting, we're more of an ally to them. But that's because, so we're not telling them that they have to be here a certain number of days or
even a certain time.
Yeah, we're facilitating sort of what they're chasing. Who better to facilitate something like that than a parent who needed it for their own child, right? And so it's fun to be to create something that allows for us to constantly tell students yes instead of no, right? Because a traditional education model is very much built in what you can't do. And we've tried very hard to facilitate what you can do. So that's a little bit about my family. I'll throw it to any of the 3 of you if you want to tell anything or nothing. It's totally fine.
We're all deciding who's going to go first. I'm so much happier to talk about my family than I am to talk about myself. And I hope everybody who's out there realizes that it's uncomfortable for all of us to sit here and talk about our accomplishments and the things that we do and what brought us here.
I twisted arms, though. Arms.
You did twist arms, but love to talk about my family. My husband, Jamie, is a military veteran and works in a trucking dispatch kind of company in Smyrna. My 3 children, my oldest graduated from MTSU with a music business degree, and she works for Universal Music Group in their copyright department
Where?
here in Nashville.
Really? That's awesome.
And my middle child is my only boy, and he also graduated from MTSU and works there in their admissions and enrollment department.
Really?
And then my youngest is a junior. I think she's taking her Calc 2 exam today. But she,
This is at MTSU also?
she is a junior at Center College in Danville, Kentucky.
That's right, playing basketball,
and she
right?
plays basketball there. And they're just fabulous kids. I've been really, really blessed and lucky with the way my kids have turned out. They're wonderful adults. And then I have a dog.
That's the real important one.
Who takes up a whole lot of my attention right now because he's in the teenage phase. He's a Great Dane, and his name is Moose, and that's kind of our little family unit. But my whole family lives in this area, and we all spend a lot of time together.
Love it. Miss Miyake?
Oh, I can talk about family much easier as well. So I also am local, and all of my family is here. I am so blessed to have my parents, my siblings, my nieces and nephews, my aunts and uncles. Everybody is pretty much here in Williamson County on a closer, tighter knit family thing. My husband works in a technologies company, cabling, safety, wire, fire, all that kind of stuff.
Got it.
For buildings. And we have 2 daughters. They are both students at UT Chattanooga and doing really well there. I also am blessed. I thank my stars every day. I have wonderful children. They are healthy and smart, and I think they're beautiful and beautiful people. They're great. We have 2 dogs that we love desperately, and I have 7 chickens that I love most of the time.
7 chickens.
The girls.
The girls
you-
are a little messy. And
The challenge
and
is, how do you
dirty.
keep them alive? Oh, you got a good pen?
We're fighting it all the time. Yes.
Yes.
Well, yes, we have a coop and we have a run. They really love to just be out roaming free.
And when
I
they do,
want
something
to,
gets them.
But there's hawks, and hawks are smart. And there's a lot of fox in our neighborhood. And both of them know how to watch and look for when they're free. We protectively with this group, we have sort of trained them to stay in the fence, which helps with the neighborhood dogs or fox.
Right.
And we also leave our dogs outside, almost like shepherds, but not really shepherds, I guess.
So your dogs don't mess with the chickens?
No. They are not the best protectors, but they at least are a layer of something that will bark or move when
good.
something comes. But hawks are insanely fast. And owls. I was literally watching something on the couch a few weeks ago, and I heard all kinds of a ruckus and quickly ran to the door. And a hawk was literally letting go of one of my favorite chickens, Daisy. And she came running in the house. We do not allow chickens in the house. They are nasty.
But she was getting away.
She came running in the house, and a few feathers were loose, and the hawk was flying off. So I've been really paranoid for the last few weeks. But the dogs were both lying right there where it was happening by their dog house.
So we've got some friends that do chickens, and so this question, I mean it, is, are these fancy chickens or are they regular chickens?
They're regular chickens.
And we've got some friends that have like the ones with all the hair,
Oh,
the pie, and
no.
the whole thing.
No, these are regular old normal girls that
Got it.
produce eggs and will never be dinner besides their eggs.
Got it.
Because this girl is not wringing a neck and plucking feathers. If somebody else wanted to at some point, maybe. But
Well, good. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. The next one, we're going to talk about how we do school. So we hope you enjoyed today, but we're going to dive deep into really what does a day look like for a Farm and Forge student? And then also, what does it look like to be a teacher at Farm and Forge? So we hope you'll join us for the next one.